You can't comprehend the full amount of joy I had from watching this movie. This was highly anticipated for me, and there's a lot of discourse around this movie, or at least there was a lot of discourse about the fact that this was a movie about a bunch of characters that no one cared about, no one knew existed, or at least like people who aren't like really big fans of the MCU didn't know existed, and just rolling them up together into more Marvel slop. But personally, I knew from the trailers that this movie was going to be promising, and I was genuinely excited for it. So let's get into what this movie was actually about without getting into too many spoilers. So the movie has Val, which is like the woman who's been around the MCU and like other shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And she's just been going around collecting these special individuals for, you know, something pretty big. But it turns out that all of her plans falter because the government figure out about her little unethical superhuman projects. So she essentially has to just destroy all the evidence that has to do with everything shady that she does. And obviously that evidence has to do with also Yelena, John Walker, Ghost, and Taskmaster. Oh, and then also Bob too, but we'll get to him a little bit later in this video. And this gives the entire team the goal to simply just work together so that they don't die from this woman. And this plot is pretty darn solid. It's engaging without being too predictable. And I absolutely love the pacing because, like, in most other Marvel movies, like, basically their journey takes them, like, across the world. Like any other, like, Avengers, even the last Captain America movie, he was, like, going to Celestial Island and stuff. But they're only in, like, 2 different places in this movie. The movie gives us time to really breathe and absorb these characters. Like, I swear, for, like, half the movie, like, there's just, like, this one place that they're trapped in. They're in, like, one building for, like, half the movie. And normally in other movies or anything, you would just think that, oh, well, this would only be, like, a small scene because, like, any other Avengers movie, they would just escape as needed. But these guys are, like, much weaker, and they don't work together very well. So it's taking them forever just to get out of this, like, big, like, compound. Because they're not that powerful and, again, not coordinated, like, any inconvenience is actually, like, a big deal for them. Things turn into life and death really quickly, and the stakes feel like they're always at an all-time high. And another thing that the pacing actually does really well is help us get introduced to these characters. Like, genuinely, if you're not an MCU fan, you might not know who more than half of these characters are, if not, like, any of them. Like, you'd have to watch Black Widow, Ant-Man the Wasp, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just to be fully caught up with all of these characters. And because of the way this movie is paced, it allows us to just sit down and just get to learn these sad, miserable characters. And it gives us time to genuinely care about them. It's got Yelena, who's the main character and is currently dealing with the death of her sister, Natasha. She's wisecracking and she's relatable, and she has such normal people problems. Like, she's simply just lonely and has a job that doesn't fulfill her. And it's got John Walker, whose main goal is to simply just be a hero, which is not unlike Red Guardian's goal of wanting to be just famous. He just wants to relive his glory days like he did back when he was in his prime. I think that these 3 genuinely breathed life into this movie, and I didn't really care about the rest. Like, you have Taskmaster, and she's weird because she feels a little underdeveloped, and because, you know, she's like silent and she doesn't really have that big of a presence for most of the movie, and it's just, you know, not really that great for the character. And there's, of course, Ghost, who ironically I feel like should be like one of like the best characters, just because in concept she's like really cool. Like, she's Ghost, she can phase through walls and disappear and reappear. Like, she should be a fan favorite, but like she's kind of boring. Like, she doesn't have an actual personality, and it's not like she doesn't have any goals that are different from anyone else. Like, she's just a generic wisecracking Marvel character, and it didn't really feel like there wasn't any real difference. So, like, in the last half of the movie, I kind of just kept forgetting she was even there. I also felt pretty similar about Bucky, and I think I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this because everyone loves Winter Soldier, but I found him so uncharismatic in this movie. But that's probably the entire point, because if you compare him to other characters, like, let's say, like John Walker, who, like, is trying desperately to be cool and trying kind of do the right thing, Winter Soldier himself, like, he just is effortlessly cool. He doesn't have to try, he just is cool. He just kind of is perfect because, like, he has, like, just a good moral compass. He basically wants to just, you know, do good because he's done so much bad in the world before. So I can see, like, why he's cool, but at the same time, it kind of makes him boring because it doesn't feel like he has any like real goal besides that. And I expect to get a bunch of hate because every time I see a review for this movie, everyone's saying that Winter Soldier is the best standout. I don't see it. I don't think he was that exciting. Valentina is pretty cool too. Like, I don't have any complaints about her as the antagonist. Like, she's pretty funny, charismatic, charming, and confident. And I genuinely couldn't wait to see her plans backfire in her face. Now, a character I really want to talk about is Bob. Bob is probably the coolest character in this entire movie because he's so mysterious. Like, he doesn't even know how he got himself into this mess in the first place. And the audience learning why he's here and what makes him so important when he seems like such a random guy is definitely one of the best things about this movie. And I gotta give a spoiler alert for a hot second. I'll probably put like it on the screen of where you can skip, or there will probably be like a section description, but either way, you know, just skip to that section if you don't want any spoilers at all. Because I can't talk about Bob without talking about the main villain or villains of this movie. First is Sentry, who is literally a god. And he's a silly looking god, but he's a god nonetheless. Like, he made the Thunderbolts seem like an actual joke. And I feel like if even the Avengers took him on, I'm about 90% sure that they would not beat him. They said that he's basically stronger than Thor, and I 100% believe that. He's probably even more stronger than Captain Marvel from what we've seen. And then there was his other side, and let me tell you, this character design was so sick. It's basically just Bob doing blackface, but it's still so menacing. I went to go see this with my girlfriend who doesn't read comics at all and kind of just got into the MCU with me. And one of her first reactions when she saw it was just simply just saying, "Whoa, it's like a void." And I just turned to her and I was just like,
"Say that again?"
Before anyone even said that this character was named Void, she was able to make the connection that this was a void, which I feel like is just perfect character design. Even though it's so simple, it already just gives the audience the exact vibe that they're looking for. It's simply just amazing character design regardless of how simple it is. And his power is absolutely terrifying because when he uses it, it looks like he's literally erasing people. But of course, this gets a little less intimidating throughout the movie because you realize that he's not actually doing that. He's kind of just sending them in the shadow realm to do shadow work in order to work on themselves and simply just to confront their past. And that ties us very well into talking about the actual theme of the movie, because throughout the movie, all of these characters are essentially trying to grapple with depression. They're all running away from their past while feeling lonely while doing so. And it feels so like real and deep because this movie goes into a lot of metaphors when it comes to self-harm and drug use. Not even just metaphors, but like it just straight up says stuff like that. And if you as a person have ever struggled with any of these things, especially if just simply just being lonely, then you might actually resonate with this movie. I literally cannot remember the last time the MCU has had a themes this raw before. Probably not since like WandaVision, where she had to tackle her grief, which actually is, I think, was like the first video I ever made on this channel on that topic, which was, you know, cool. Don't actually check it out, it's really old and it's probably embarrassing. And all of these characters embody this theme so well, and this entire team is essentially their version of therapy. But now I want to talk about the end of this entire therapy session. And in order to do that, I gotta talk about spoilers again, and I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna be talking about spoilers for the rest of the video, so if you're still here, you haven't watched it, I'm just gonna say, go see it. I rate it pretty high, and this is your chance to leave now if you don't want to hear basically the end and the entire point of the movie. In 3, 2, 1, okay, good. I loved the entire concept of the new Avengers. Everyone was wondering why there was this huge asterisk after the word Thunderbolts, as if like that wasn't the real title or something. And we learn that at the end of the movie, the real title of this movie is called The New Avengers. And I think that's so clever because I think that if they would have led with that, then I genuinely believe that everyone would have hated this movie from the jump. I think the best example of seeing why that would have been a terrible idea is simply just looking at someone like Sam Wilson, Captain America, where basically before you watch the movie, you judge him because you're like, oh, this guy is supposed to be Captain America? This is the one? Okay, and you immediately compare him to Steve Rogers. And that makes everyone just kind of say, I don't want this guy, I don't like this guy, I don't like the new change, he'll never compare. And the same thing would have happened with this movie if it was called The New Avengers. People would have been like, what? These guys are the new Avengers? These guys are the new face of the MCU? and people would have just been angry, and they would have just thought it was stupid from the jump. But giving us time as an actual audience to just sit down and care about these characters, to just sit here and root for them, hoping that everyone else in the world can see them as heroes like they always should have been. It made it a scene that everyone was down for, like them being called the new Avengers just felt like a trophy that they deserved to win, that we wanted them to win. We didn't know that was a goal, but it was always the goal. We just didn't realize it. And for a moment, I was genuinely bummed about how quickly it all ended, because I felt like, oh, there could have been a little bit more, until of course just the credits alone, not the end credit scene, but the credits alone told a story. Like they did something really cool where they essentially just told the story through a bunch of images, through a bunch of newspaper clippings of showing us the public opinion of how people don't accept them, and there's also people who do accept them, and there's like a bunch of questions about them, and just basically learning about them. These guys just turn into actual celebrities, and they turn into this world's actual Avengers. And then we get to the real final end credit scenes where we just see them all chilling in Avengers Tower. They're all chilling, they're all vibing, and we get to see their dynamic, and that it all works. They work as a team, they work as the Avengers. And we see just Bob in the background, who just doesn't really avenge anything, but he's on the team, but he just does dishes because he hasn't used his powers in 14 months. And that's, within itself, is hype, because I just can't wait to see what the MCU does with this specific character. Because they basically just have like an entire nuke just sitting in the background who doesn't know what to do with himself. And then of course there's the entire joke about the trademark for the Avengers name with Sam Wilson, which I thought was all pretty funny. But more importantly, there's this entire, like, again, this is 14 months later in the future, there's an entire space crisis happening that we don't fully know about, which means that this might be like an actual scene in like Doomsday or Secret Wars or something, probably like Doomsday movie. And during this space crisis, we see that the Fantastic Four appear in this world, and bro, it's just like the coolest shit ever. Like, this made me not only excited for just the new Avengers movie, the next new Avengers movie, but just excited for the MCU in general. To see the Fantastic Four trailer play right before this movie, and at the end of this movie seeing potentially a scene from Avengers Doomsday, is just chef's kiss. Like, the MCU has not done anything like that since like right before Infinity War. All of their other post-credit scenes have felt really worthless, but this one actually gets me hype, and it's just, they've all felt like advertisements, but they've all felt really lame as advertisements. This felt like an advertisement done right. It genuinely hyped me up. For once, it feels like the MCU has direction, and I'm just super happy to see that. I give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I just now realized I should make an outro. I haven't been making YouTube videos in a little bit because I've been working on something. A book, it's in my hand, I'm waving it around. I'm not gonna show you the cover yet because I wanna make that a big announcement. It's gonna be the second one in the series of Spiritcaster. Go and read that if you wanna support me. Just check that out, and like follow me on some of my socials if you wanna see when that's a thing. Besides that, just thank you for watching if you watched, and if you like the content and wanna see more of me, subscribe. And that's it. Yeah, see ya.